Ready?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining today's Ag Commission meeting. We'll call this meeting to order at 12:30, Wednesday, May 13th, 2026. Thank you all for joining today's Ag Commission meeting. We will do our best to facilitate a smooth meeting with public participation. Today's meeting is being recorded and can be viewed online on CDA's YouTube channel. The public can join today's Ag Commission meeting through the Zoom webinar. Moving forward, I will do a roll call for the Ag Commission members. Ag Commission Vice Chair Jeff McCullough.
Present.
Ag Commission member Catherine Bedell.
I'm here.
Thank you. Ag Commission member David Block. Ag Commission member Elena Miller Turcooley. Ag Commission member Dr. Amanda Weaver.
Here.
Ag Commission member Harrison Top.
Present.
Ag Commission member Nick Trainer.
Present.
Ag Commission member Colleen Pepler.
Present.
Okay, thank you. Moving forward, I guess we'll start here with approval of the meeting agenda. I'd like to have a motion if there's no discussion needed before vote.
This is Catherine Bedell. I move that we accept today's meeting agenda for the May Ag Commission meeting.
This is
Thank
Amanda
you,
Weaver.
Catherine.
I'll second. This is
All right,
Amanda
thank
Weaver.
you.
I'll second.
All right, thank you. We have a motion made and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Aye.
None seen, motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to, for the approval of the March meeting minutes. If there any discussion needed before vote? Seeing none, I'd like to have a motion.
Mr. Chair, this is Colleen Pepler. I move that we approve March meeting minutes.
Thank you. Motion made by Colleen. Do I have a second?
I'll second. This is
All right.
Harrison.
Thank you, Harrison. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, thank you. All opposed, same sign. Okay, seeing none, motion carries. Okay, we're going to move into public comment. At this time, the public has the opportunity to address any issues that they'd like to address with the commission. Each person has 3 minutes to speak. As we move to open the meeting to public comment, please remember to introduce yourself and speak slowly and clearly. Your name will be called when it is your turn to comment, and the host will unmute your line. We are now opening the meeting to public comment. Is there anybody in the queue for public comment at this time?
I have no, or I have one hand raised at this time.
Okay. Thank you, Rachel.
Mr. Ewing, you should now have control, so feel free to unmute and share your comments.
Yes, I just have one concern. I was looking over CA's different grants and ways we can help the ag community out here during this drought. And so it doesn't affect CDA as much as the federal part of it on the CRP grazing, emergency grazing, and the map that they show. And I don't agree with their map at all. There's a lot of places that are suffering out here. And I don't know what we can do to go to our representatives or senators, or what we need to do to go to how we can change this map. So we can maybe go forward and maybe helps at least CRP grazing part of the program. That's all I have. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Wayne.
And Simon, if I can jump in real quick. Commissioner Ewing, thanks so much for being on the call. This is a conversation we've been having with county commissioners through CCI, and it's something we continue to elevate through our federal delegation, especially through Senator Bennett on the Ag Committee and his team. And I think just this week, we've even been having conversations about how the drought monitor does not reflect conditions on the ground. So I just wanted to respond and say this very well noted, and CDA is very much elevating what you mentioned, Commissioner, into DC. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
And there are no other hands raised at this time.
I think it might be back to me, Simon.
I am. Thank you, Commissioner, for stepping in there, and then Wayne also for your comment. We'll move forward here to Commissioner's update.
Super.
Commissioner Greensburg, thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. It's great being back with you all and seeing many of your faces. I think Robert is on, although he might be hiding behind his camera. There he is. I just want to give a huge heartfelt thank you to Mr. Robert Cicada for serving as acting commissioner while I was on maternity leave. I cannot tell you how amazing it was to go away and know that our team had everything under control. To the greatest of their abilities. And Robert's jokes that he did his best to put out all the fires, but he did leave some kindling for me. So we'll see what that sparks into. But really, it's just a huge honor to be able to work alongside a team where I can leave for 3 months and really have no worries about how the department's being run. And of course, that's a testament to Hollis and Jordan, our amazing deputies, for making sure Robert didn't do anything too crazy, and of the rest of the team as well, who just hopefully kept the continuity of government, continuity of business in place while I was away. And again, just so appreciative. Robert, I did not let go far away from the center of the ship, so to speak, and I've asked him to serve as my senior advisor at CDA. So Robert's still our ag water policy advisor, and he's still our mental health lead, and he's still our special envoy on international trade missions when we need him. But he's also our special advisor. So that means we get to lean on Robert for all of the core decision making at CDA, policy and legislative work, et cetera, et cetera. So Robert, thank you for saying yes again to a new job title and for all of the work you put in while I was away. Anything you want to say, Robert, while we have you on?
Yeah, thanks, Kate. It was tremendous honor. Thanks for taking the time to prep me. I don't think people realize that, prior to your taking maternity leave, you really worked with me the months prior to that event, and that was such a tremendous help. And like you said, thanks to the whole team, the CDA team. It was really a pleasure to get to be able to work closer with them, and just how much all the hard work that they do to keep everything running from day to day. So it was real honor. I think everybody knows that it was my 84-day reign of terror. Because I was in terror each and every one of those days, but we're really thankful and excited to have you back. So thanks, Kate.
So much, Robert. So just a few updates from me today. Plenty going on as always. Jordan is going to give us an in-depth legislative update on this special holiday, which is the last day of the legislative session. So I won't touch base on that. I'll leave it to Jordan. Hollis isn't able to join us, so I'll just do a few operational updates, just high level. mainly on my radar right now, coming back in, a lot of federal stuff. Been working with federal partners to kind of shake loose some funding that's gotten gunked up in the system. Today, we're actually submitting our application to the what's called the AMP, or Advancing Markets for Producers. Huge shout out to Evan Cavanis and the whole conservation team, Kristen Boyson, for navigating what has now been a 13-month reapplication process after USDA terminated the Partnerships for Climate Smart Commodities and rebranded under AMP. So we are hopeful now that our application is in line with the new guidance. Same is true on other cooperative agreements like salinity control. We shook some of our funding free that was gunked up, so we are able to continue that work. We're not taking any of our program funding for granted, though, so that's where a lot of our focus has been. Of course, on the policy side, the U.S. House passed the Farm Bill last week. We're curious to see what, if anything, happens in the Senate. We don't have high hopes, but we're keeping track of what's going on in Washington. On the foreign animal disease front, as you all know, we track this closely under the leadership of Dr. Baldwin. Last week, unfortunately, we had our index case in Colorado of vesicular stomatitis virus, or VSV, in equine in Montezuma County. So that premises is under quarantine. We do release very quickly information to all the veterinarians in the state, and of course, press releases on this as well. So that's something our team is working on closely. We're obviously monitoring New World screwworm south of the border. There continue to be cases within 100 miles of the U.S. border in Mexico. No cases detected in the U.S. at this point, but of course, Dr. Baldwin has taken every opportunity to prepare and to make sure we have the structures and relationships in place if that ever were to occur. On a positive note, we've been, for a couple years now, been doing some advocacy around adapting the USDA's policy around high path avian influenza in lactating dairy cattle. We haven't actually talked about this for a while because that's been relatively under control, but our dairy producers have been under testing restrictions for quite some time now. And Colorado, we were actually, because Dr. Baldwin was so proactive and got our testing protocol in place so early, we became the first state in the nation to become unaffected status. So essentially, the high path in lactating dairy cattle led us to that status. So essentially the pressure from high path AI was insignificant enough that we kind of were free from most testing requirements except for interstate testing. So our producers have had to do regular weekly interstate testing. We thought that was a little bearing from going from one unaffected state to another. We've been asking that if you're moving dairy cattle between unaffected states, that USDA allow our producers to do less testing, alleviating some of that regulatory burden. USDA just announced that they are doing that. They are alleviating that regulatory hurdle for movement between unaffected states. So a little bit wonky on that front, but just a bit of good news, a little less burden. But we're still keeping on the testing to make sure that we are in good stay with high path and dairy cattle. Let's see, on the internal side, just a lot of work. Want to give a huge shout out to Hollis and Melissa for their work on our WIGs, our wildly important goals. We are fine tuning next fiscal year's goals, which are going to look very similar to what we've had this year. So no surprises for us there, but just a lot of great work that the team is continuing to do. And then as always, I can encourage y'all just to check out our strategic plan, which you can see and access from our website. That is tracking everything under the sun that we are holding ourselves accountable to, WIGs and beyond. And I particularly want to highlight kind of the fifth category, which is internal operations, where we are very focused on being excellent service providers to those of you who rely on us for your business. So turnaround time on calls, on paperwork, on whatever it is that you need for licensing for your business services, we are holding ourselves to a very high standard and want to make sure we push forward on that. Otherwise, our teams are just cranking away. Markets took a delegation of Colorado companies to the UK food and drink show, and actually one of our Colorado companies, Miso Heat, won the Taste of the Future Award at that show. So despite all the headwinds that we have with trade, with tariffs, with fuel and fertilizer, with labor, with water, which we will, I'm sure, get into all of those throughout this meeting today. We are still doing what we can to showcase Colorado ag and food businesses, to actually do business for our businesses here in Colorado. And this is just one of many examples. On the stewardship front, I mentioned AMP application. Evan and her team are also just managing and doing a great job. Our various programs to support our stewardship work across the state, really your stewardship work, whether that's our resilience grants, renewables, soil health, of course, and we've had to navigate these changes with federal funding, but we've stayed true. One thing I also want to point out, and this is a big thanks to the foresight that Jordan has had. We knew when we received these federal dollars that we wouldn't have them forever. We hoped we'd have them through the end of their grant span, but we knew we wouldn't have them forever. So the work that Jordan and the team have done with the state legislature and solidifying some of this work at the state level has been really integral to our ability to continue the work. Soil health, climate smart marketing are just a few examples of that, but that's how much the work of stewardship is at the core of what we do. Of course, on the next gen side, we continue our paid apprenticeship program, our ag workforce development program, next gen leadership, succession planning, a lot of exciting work there. I want to give a shout out to our brands division for our animal health and welfare WIG priority area. They just this week, I believe, or late last week, held a multi-day training in Montrose for various law enforcement jurisdictions to learn about brand law, talk about animal welfare from the brand's perspective, and really how we interface with local law enforcement and rely on each other for many different types of cases. So that's something I'm really excited to see, just a lot more training coming out from our team, and a great collaboration between brands and our division of animal welfare with working with local law enforcement. And then, of course, our rural mental health initiative. Robert and Marissa were down in Hesperus, I believe, just last week, within the last couple of weeks, hosting the mental health task force down there. So just a big thanks to them and Rosie Scovrin on our team as well, just for all the work they are doing, continuing that work and showing up around the state. So those are just a few examples of the great work going on with our team. We also, of course, I shouldn't move on without mentioning our range rider training. So we are continuing that partnership with Parks and Wildlife to train both our in-house range riders, Jesse and Shelby, who are now training range riders that are hired by CPW to get ready for this year's field season. And really nice piece in Denver 7, which we can share around with you all, talking about, kind of how range riding is more than just about wolves. It's really about understanding the landscape, understanding livestock, being in relationship with all of those pieces out on the range in the wilderness. And that has been really, in my mind, our objective for this work through and through, that yes, it is about deterring conflict. And yes, it is about wolves, of course, that's why we built the program, but it's really more than that. And it's connecting people back to the land, back to ag, back to livestock, and the communities of livestock producers who are out doing the work as well. So a big shout out there. Last few items, you see my background. 250-150 is well underway. So again, despite all the challenges and hard times we have in ag, we are continuing to celebrate and get people connected who maybe have never been connected to ag before. The mural, which you see behind me, this is a picture of it, but the real 35-foot-long mural is traveling the state. If you go to settingcoloradostable.com or .org, you can see a list of all the places that the mural is going to be. It's going to be updated with hyperlinks and exact locations as we work with organizers. But you'll see we're going to be in El Paso County Fair. We're going to be in Douglas County. We're going to be in Wiggins for 4th of July. We'll be Palisade Peach Festival, San Luis for a gathering there, State Fair Foundation Gala, all kinds of events all around the state. And I just want to say thank you to all who are helping bring the mural to your community as a way of getting people connected to ag. We are also going to be launching our coffee table book that we've written in partnership with History Colorado, July 28th at History Colorado in Denver. Ag Commission members, you will be getting more details on that event as we pull it together. But you all are in the book. And so I'm very excited for the world to get to hear and read your stories and oral histories. So thank you again for being part of this really exciting piece that will be part of history moving forward. And then lastly, on 250-150, of course, getting ready for State Fair overall, and then our 250-150 kind of signature event. We're taking the Governor's Plate food truck competition and turning it into our inaugural Governor's Table to kick off our Harvest Table dinners. So this fall is going to be all about buying local, buying food from your neighbors, buying Colorado proud, and sitting around the table enjoying our amazing Colorado food together. So we are leaning on local hosts to host those dinners. We're partnering with a group called Longer Table to put on a lot of those dinners. And we are really hoping that that effort puts dollars in farmers' pockets to buy food for those events and brings people who might not know each other or otherwise have a reason to get to know each other to sit around and break bread together. So lots more on that to come for the fall. Lastly, just looking at the horizon line for events for me, I'm going to be keynoting tomorrow evening at the Colorado Open Lands Gala at the Denver Museum of Nature and Science. So very much look forward to that and talking about the shared work we've done for conservation. Our drought task force is meeting in Winter Park early June. So I look forward to attending that. I'm just getting ready for Pueblo come August. I know it seems far away right now, but the team is cranking away down in Pueblo, getting ready for everybody down there. So a lot of updates today. I appreciate you all bearing with me, but that is it for my report, Simon, and happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Greenberg. Is there any questions at this time? Okay, thank you. Moving forward here to Regional Assistant Commissioner updates. Let's start here. Riley, May, are you with us today? Okay, Nick? How about Joe? Joe Stanko, are you with us?
There, I had to, sorry.
Hello, Joe.
Yes, this is me.
Hi.
Um, had to find the unmute. The kind of a basic quick report is, of course, in our area, we have drought, surprise. And I've attended a number of meetings, including economic summits, fire mitigation, food systems, and wellness. Just within the last week, it's been one of those 2 days, 2 meetings a day. We're managing the drought, and I'll be as a speaker this week, tomorrow, with the drought group that they're having with CSU and CDA as a speaker on what a producer does. I don't have much more to talk about. I'm looking forward to the summer coming, and we're ready for rain.
Thank you, Joe. We're with you on that one. It'll do that someday. We just don't know when, right?
Right. And I did want to, one little brief note when I just want to remind you that as the FSS, people being in counties that are eligible are also the counties that are contiguous to the 33 that are designated, which raises it to 49 counties in Colorado are eligible for FSA disaster funds and loans. And also states all around us are, because of that designation, are eligible to apply for those.
Okay, thank you, Joe.
Simon, if I may, real quick, maybe Robert read my mind. I always want to say thanks to Joe for that. We do have a great drought landing page on our website that Olga and the team created, and we can put it in the chat. It doesn't currently include those FSA county designations, but thanks so much for that, Joe, for that reminder. But please do feel free to share the URL that we'll put in with anybody looking for resources and what we're managing through the Drought Task Force. But Robert, anything to add there?
Nope, exactly. Read my mind, Kate. The team has done a great job. We're trying to collect resources and make the links available for producers on areas they can get support. And our next ag drought collaborators meeting will be the May 29th, I think. I'll have to double check that. But then also I wanted to thank Joe. Joe, thanks for sending that information to me about the health partnership, the Colorado Rural Peer Conference on behavioral health. I'm going to submit some um, proposals for them to do presentations. So anybody, please don't hesitate to send me information about activities going around on behavioral health, and really want to engage with the community.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you. George Whitten. Catherine, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I was on the drought resource page on around on Facebook and in the other social media platforms. People have been begging for hay, for small amounts of hay. I'm just wondering if we can add some resources of hay available on that drought page.
Catherine, we can definitely look into that. I know Robert and the team are doing a lot of work, as mentioned, with the ag associations that typically kind of do that work between their members. So I think as much as we can support existing efforts through our website, without reinventing the wheel, we'll do that. And if we need to invent a new wheel, we can look at how we might do that as well. So thanks
Okay,
for that
just
reminder.
might tag those associations because a lot of, especially the horse people, don't belong to any, and people that have a few backyard goats are unable to find hay as well.
Yep. Yeah, good point.
Okay. Moving forward on legislative policy and budget updates, Jordan.
Hey everybody, happy last day of session. It's good to see all of you again. It has been quite the year. First part of the session was really focused on kind of our budget side of things, which I'll touch on here start, and then second half was really focused on kind of a lot of the policy items that we've been working on throughout the year. And before we start, I just want to, one caveat to all of this is things are still moving this year. There's one bill we're still kind of waiting on in the Senate, and I'll touch on that. Most other things that I'm going to talk about have moved through and passed, but they have not become law yet. They're still waiting for the governor's signature as well. In the budget and legislative summary that I have on the screen here for all of you to look at, we're still finalizing it, and we'll finalize it today once session concludes, and that will go out to all of you in your post-meeting follow-up. So you'll have access to that as well if we miss anything. We touched on it before, but this was a very tough budget year for everybody in the state. Us here, kind of just in the department, we took about a $3.3 million cut to our overall funding for the department. Of that, about $1.9 million, those funding cuts are ongoing, kind of permanent cuts that we'll see as a department. However, not all of those cuts really directly impact our staff or our programs specifically. The budget cuts that we proposed as a department, which is up here on the screen as R1, those are cuts to the commissioner's office, personal services line item, as well as general fund money to the plants division. Both of those cuts that we proposed, we can implement without direct impacts on our programs there. One kind of bright spot in the budget that I'll touch on is throughout or kind of during the supplemental budget process, we worked with the Conservation Services Division and the Palisade and Sector E team to put forward a supplemental budget request to work on biocontrol agents for mountain pine beetle. So that was approved as a supplemental by the Joint Budget Committee, and as well as ongoing funding through the regular budget process. That funding actually comes out of one of our cash funds, so it's not general fund or tax dollars, it's cash fund dollars, but we did get the increased spending authority to allow us to do that. So that was kind of one of the bright spots for us in our budget request this year. Again, I'll touch on just some of the budget cuts here. I won't go into all of them, but talk about the ones that do have programmatic impacts. So again, there was lots of cuts to various components of our budget. However, the programs that did take a hit were the Equine Welfare Grant Program, which is in the Division of Animal Welfare. This was originally set to be a 3-year time-limited grant program. The Joint Budget Committee eliminated the final year of that, so eliminated $200,000 out of our budget for the upcoming year for those grants. In terms of kind of ongoing funding that they did cut, the JBC eliminated our agrivoltaics grant program. That was a $300,000 a year grant program that we had. And then they also reduced our climate resilience grant program from $500,000 down to $300,000 annually. And then they did some other kind of budget tricks with moving some of our conservation district funding from severance tax funding over to a different cash fund. But kind of big picture, the 3 programs that have a direct impact from the budget cuts are the Equine Welfare Grant Program, the Agrivoltaics Grant Program, and the Climate Resilience Grant Program. So kind of moving on, again, if there's specific questions on budget, I'm happy to talk about that more. But moving on, I'm going to talk a little bit about the CDA agenda bills that we worked on this year. And so just as a reminder, these are the bills that we as an agency kind of moved forward through the process. We kind of take ownership for them, find the bill sponsors for, and work through that process, work through the legislative process on. First bill I want to talk about is Senate Bill 64. This is the modification to our existing Colorado Agricultural Future Loan Program, which allows us to issue loans to water conservation and conservancy districts, as well as state certified land trusts to support the buy, protect, sell model for agricultural lands in the state. I've talked about this in the past, so I'll kind of skip over some of the details there, but as we are implementing the program and developing it, we'll certainly be bringing a lot of those details back to you and giving you updates on that in the future. The next bill is House Bill 26-1289. It's a very large omnibus tax bill that has many, many different provisions in it. One of those provisions modifies our community food access tax credit program in our markets division. Really, the changes are intended to make the program work more effectively. That includes expanding the definition of eligible purchases to include nonprofits, as well as allowing producers that sell or donate into food banks, food pantries, to also qualify for the tax credit. It also increases the threshold for farmers that participate in the program. Right now, you have to have, I believe, under a $300,000 income to qualify for the program. That is increased in the bill to allow more kind of mid-sized farmers to part in the equipment tax credit that's part of that program. Again, this bill is quite complicated. Our section is not controversial. However, this bill is one that still has to make it out of the Senate today and then back over to the House for concurrence. There's a lot of drama on it at the moment, not on our provisions of the bill, but other provisions. And so we're hopeful that will get through, but that it might be the last bill that makes it through this session. Next up is House Bill 261111. This was our proposal to create a pesticide disposal program and enterprise. So this has passed and is waiting signature by the governor. This again puts a fee on pesticide product registrations in the state, as well as there'll be a small fee at the drop-off or disposal events that are held by the department each year. The concept around this is that there would be 3 to 4 disposal events that we contract with a private disposal company for, held around the state each year, kind of rotating in different rural places of the state. One very unique aspect of this bill is it was set up as an enterprise, or essentially a state-run business, in order to avoid any TABOR impacts and other budgetary implications. One of the things that is required of that is that there's a board that's set up to oversee this. The board that was set up in statute is essentially the same members that make up the Agriculture Commission, so all of you. And so going forward, you all have a hand, and you will all be overseeing, kind of helping oversee the implementation of this program. We will have lots more conversations about this at future meetings, but I just want to put this on your radar that this is one that you'll be hearing a lot from us about over the next 6 months as we work to kind of stand this up, work to educate all of you about kind of what that role will be in helping manage that enterprise in those disposal events. Next up was the House Bill 1067, which is the modifications that we made to our Disease Livestock Indemnity Fund. Again, this is also passed and already been signed into law, but essentially what this allows Dr. Baldwin and the Animal Health Division to do is have more flexibility with this fund. So instead of just being focused on indemnification, kind of after events already happen, it allows her to utilize these funds more proactively for disease investigations, outbreaks, supporting response, and ultimately the goal with this is to be more proactive and get ahead of any disease outbreaks, so that there's no need to expend funds on the back end for indemnification purposes. The other reason why this makes a lot of sense for us as an agency and for us as a state is that the vast majority of indemnification payments are made by the USDA. We very rarely make indemnification payments as a state, and we've actually only used this fund one time in the last decade to make a small, about $5,000 payment. So that was kind of it for the agenda bills that we had up this year. There's a lot of other bills that we are going to be working on implementing as a department, and I'll run through a few of those. And then, of course, there's lots of other bills that impact agriculture as a whole. I'll just touch on very high level a couple of those as well, but certainly can get more information to all of you on any other bills that you may be interested in. So in addition to our agenda bills, some of the bills that we're going to be working to implement this year are House Bill 1183, which is the sunset of the Pet Animal Care Facilities Act. So that program within the Animal Welfare Division was continued for 8 years, and there was a number of modifications made to that program in that bill that they'll be working through and implementing over the next year. House Bill 1306 just passed the legislature a couple hours ago, and this creates a new wild horse license plate that will fund our wild horse program within the Animal Health Division. This program was set to run out of funding in the next year to 2 years, and so this will provide a source of revenue for that program going forward. I'm going to skip over a couple of these. House Bill 1031, again, we've talked about that before, but it was the bill that came out of the interim committee that provides some additional protections for agricultural products grown in Colorado, specifically calls out in statute that again, you're not allowed to mislabel products as being grown in Colorado if they're grown somewhere else. There was already provisions in law that helped with some of those protections, but this made it very explicit in statute, as well as it also provided some additional statutory protections for the Colorado Proud logo and name that we use within the department. And this is actually the first time that Colorado Proud is mentioned in statute. And so it is now kind of enshrined in statute, and we have those legal protections as an agency. I'm going to skip down a few of these. Want to mention Senate Bill 136, which is reporting of lost or stolen livestock. This is a bill that impacts the brands division, and it really directs the brands division to come up with procedures for coordinating with law enforcement. This is something that the brands division has been working on anyways, and has been part of their strategic plan and some of the department's WIGs over the past year. So this really just codifies, again, some of the great work that they're doing in the brands division and ensures that we continue with that work going forward. So again, big shout out to Todd and team for their work on that bill. Lastly, again, just want to kind of touch base on a couple of the other kind of big bills that move forward that impact the agricultural industry. The first one is House Bill 26-1340, which is the revegetation of farmland bill. I just want to give a very big shout out to Robert for all of his work on that topic over the past, well, really 18 months now at this point. But that bill really is now kind of focused on water in Division 2 and is focused on putting in more protections around requirements for revegetation when water is removed from farmland and turned into another purpose and used for another purpose, such as industrial or municipal uses. Again, there's a lot of challenges with revegetation, and there's also a lot of challenges with implementing regional or statewide policy around some of these issues. And folks in the lower Arkansas did a lot of great work on this bill, stakeholding it. And again, it's been about an 18-month process to get to this point to get it passed. And so I wanted to make sure kind of you were all aware of that. And if there's any questions, I am definitely going to defer to Robert on that one. And lastly, again, I know everybody's been paying attention to this, but just wanted to note again that Senate Bill 26-121 did pass and has been now signed into law by the governor. This is the bill that increases overtime thresholds for agricultural employees. And it sets kind of the threshold at 56 hours a week for everybody. Again, the system that was originally set up under Senate Bill 87 was fairly complicated for folks. It had, different hours for highly seasonal workers, different hours for full-time workers. And really kind of one of the intentions by this bill was to simplify that so that the rules were clear for everybody, and then kind of increase it to that 56-hour baseline threshold for everybody as well. I'm going to stop there. Again, we'll get this document out to all of you here in the next day or so you can all take a look at it. And just a reminder that if you ever have any questions on any of these bills, any other bills that have moved through, have passed, haven't passed, you can always reach out to me directly. Happy to have conversations with you at any time on those kind of one-on-one. So with that, Simon, I will turn it back over to you unless there's any questions.
All right, thank you, Jordan. Is there any questions for Jordan at this time? A lot of information. Thank you.
Yes, Simon, if I can, it's just
Yes, sir.
amazing. Hats off to Jordan
Yes.
and Bev and the team there. He's getting me a little bit addicted to legislative activities, not really, but to listen to all the hearings, to line up testimony for our staff that had to go testify. It really is a team effort. And thanks, Jordan, for all your insight, because it takes a lot of insight in knowing how to negotiate those items. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Jordan. And just to reiterate what Commissioner Greenberg said earlier, Robert, as you were gone, I don't get a lot involved what you're doing day to day up there with her, but thank you from behind the scenes. So as we move forward here to operations update, I think Commissioner Greenberg, you hit on some of Hollis's items, correct?
Yep, no other updates
Okay.
on operations today.
Okay, thank you. Discussion of CDA priorities. Does anybody have anything other than what they've heard today or want to add to the discussion of any of the commissioners or? Okay, seeing none at this time. 1:15, 1:16, if we can reconvene, we'll take a small break and reconvene here at 1:25. If that's good with everybody, okay? Thank you. Thank you. Okay, moving forward on commission business, we're going to move into an action item, measurement standards, 8 CCR 1202-2. Mark Gallegos and Daniel Zangari, if you're available. We're a little early.
Yep. Yeah, both Dan and I are here, Simon.
Hi, Mark. How are you?
Doing well.
Good. We're running a little bit ahead of schedule, but I guess everybody's ready, right?
All right. If everybody's
Okay.
ready, we'll get started on our end, if that's all right.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Good afternoon, members of the Ag Commission. My name is Mark Gallegos, Director of the Inspection and Consumer Services Division. Joining me today is Dan Zangari, Section Chief of the Technical Services section within the division, who will present the proposed amendments to the Measurement Standards Rule 8 CCR 1202-2. Go ahead, Dan.
Thanks, Mark. Hello, everybody. The Measurement Standards Program has proposed an amendment to the State Measurement Standards Rule 8 CCR 1202-2. This change aims to clarify the annual state testing requirement outlined in the Colorado Measurement Standards Statute, CRS 35-14-127, subsection 3. The proposed rule directly responds to a September 2024 state auditor recommendation to enhance the clarity of the annual device testing requirement. All weighing and measuring devices used commercially in Colorado must be licensed annually by the program. All licensed devices are required to be tested or caused to be tested by the department no less than once every 12 months. If this amendment is approved, it will clarify that the department's testing requirement must take place during the device's licensed period, January 1 through December 31 of each year. The amendment shall be effective for the registration period commencing January 1, 2027. Following the rulemaking process, the rulemaking hearing regarding proposed changes to measurement standards was held on April 2nd, 2026. I presented the proposed rule amendments to all individuals present. No members of the public attended or submitted public comment to be read aloud at the hearing. A copy of the hearing memo is attached to the meeting agenda. Thank you for your consideration of this requested amendment to the rule.
Any discussion at this time needed before vote? Taken? Okay, seeing none, I'd like to open this up for a motion.
This is Catherine Bedell. Finding that these amendments are necessary to carry out the provisions of the Measurement Standards Act, I move that the commission approve these rules for release.
Thank you, Catherine. Motion made by Catherine. Do I have a second?
I'll second. This is Amanda.
Okay, thank you. Motion made by Catherine, second by Dr. Amanda Weaver. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, all opposed, same sign. Okay, seeing none, motion carries. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you,
Appreciate
everybody.
it.
Okay, moving on to the next action item, the Bureau of Animal Protection, BAP agent confirmations. At this time, I think it's Joe, you're on.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
and good to see you all this afternoon. This month, we have two individuals that we would like to put forward for commissioning as a Bureau of Animal Protection agent. The first individual is Sonia Zimmerman. She's employed as a community services officer since June of 2022 and works for the town of Bennett. And then we have Whitney Gardner, who is employed as a animal management officer since February of 2025, and she works with the Adams County Animal Management. Happy to answer any questions. And if there are none, there's a suggested motion in your packet to appoint these two individuals as BAP commissioned agents.
Thank you, Joe. Any discussion needed before vote? Okay, seeing none, I'd like to open this up for a motion.
Chairman Martinez, this is Colleen. I move that the commission approve the commissioner's appointment of Sonia Zimmerman and Whitney Gardner as presented by Joe Stafford to be agents of the Bureau of Animal Protection.
Okay. Do we have a second?
This is Catherine. I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Motion made by Colleen, second by Catherine. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you. All opposed, same sign. Seeing none, motion carries. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to briefings and updates. Next is rulemaking briefing, rules pertaining to the administration and enforcement of the Industrial Hemp Regulatory Program Act, ACCR 1203-23. Brian.
Good afternoon, Simon. It's
Hello.
Windrar Gauro and Brian. He is joined and then he will make a presentation. But today we have from our division two rules that we are will be bringing for motion and an adoption at the next meeting. But today is for a briefing he joined. Probably if I will ping him probably, and then John can take up if that is acceptable for you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Andrew.
In order to use our time, Mr. Chair, can we move to the next one, which is a pesticide rule briefing? John Scott is ready, and then if you allow him, he can proceed. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right, thank you. We'll move down into the rules and regulations pertaining to the administration and enforcement of the Pesticide Applicators Act 8 CCR 12-03-2. John.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you,
Hello.
Mr. Chair. John Scott, I'm the Pesticide Section Chief, and we are proposing two rules. The first rule is in Part 6.05. It's the private applicator record keeping rules. And these rules had been in place actually since going back to 1993, but they were previously under the USDA it was a federal provision that private applicators maintain their restricted use pesticide use records. That rule was actually repealed by USDA back July 11th of 2025, just simply for the fact that USDA, that part of their program was defunded back in 2012. It had continued on through the states because ultimately most of the states have incorporated those private applicator record keeping requirements in their own rules. We'd had that provision in our rules back starting in 2007 when we took over the private applicator program. And we had just made reference to the federal rules. Now that the rule's been repealed by USDA, we wanted to incorporate those into our state rules. The rule record keeping provisions, they're identical to what the USDA has previously required over the years, with one caveat. Actually, I take that back, two caveats. One, that the USDA records keeping requirements only required the volume of product that had been put down. So it only recorded that you applied 100 gallons to 10 acres or 100 acres. It never captured the dilution rate. So all of these years that kind of been a hole in the USDA requirements that we actually could never tell whether the product was mixed properly according to the label directions. So we did match and add that provision in that the dilution rate be recorded. And then in addition, now with all of the endangered species requirements coming on into play in the last year, same as our commercial applicators, if there is an endangered species bulletin that's in effect for the area of application, we're asking that record be maintained as well. And these are all requirements now that are also on the label that with the new endangered species provisions that have been updated in the last few years, that now the label requires that all labels require that you go to the endangered species site, Bulletins Live 2, and obtain the bulletins if it's in effect. And we're only requiring, just like our commercial applicators, that they only have to maintain that record if there's an active bulletin in effect for the area of application. And granted, in Colorado, we only have 2 active bulletins for prairie dog applications, for baiting applications at this time. The other rules that we're doing are we're amending parts 8.03, 9.04, and 10.08. These are provisions that address electronic notification for our commercial pesticide applicators. About 10 years ago, we updated the rule to allow electronic notification with a strict provision that the commercial applicator had to obtain a written request from the homeowner or from the contracted party. As things continue to evolve and we have more and more of our applicators that are moving to paperless and basically electronic operations, this is just an update to those electronic notification rules that now allow the commercial applicators to be able to write into their contracts that they will provide their notice of applications electronically. And then this rule specifically states the verbiage that they have to have in their contract, that language that states, I consent to and request to receive all notices required under Article 10 of Title 35, the Pesticide Applicators Act, and the rules adopted thereunder electronically. This just allows some more flexibility for our commercial applicators to be able to provide their notification, required notification elements electronically and be able to write it into their contract versus having to get a separate request from their customer. So it just adds some additional flexibility and what we've continued to see the industry need for flexibility in their operations. So those are the 2 rules that we are proposing. And if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer those.
Thank you, John. Is there any questions at this time for John? Seeing none, thank you, John, for the rulemaking briefing
Thank you.
on this
Have a good day, all.
pesticide indicators. Thank you. Wondred, are we ready
Yes,
for
yes,
the?
yes, we are ready,
Yeah.
Simon. Yeah, Brian is here. He will present the hemp proposed rule. And if there is any question at the end, we'll be very happy to explain. And yeah, Brian.
Thank you, Wondred.
Thank you, Ag Commission, and my apologies for not understanding the agenda adjustment. However, I am here, and I'd like to talk about some proposed rule changes we have for the hemp program after the 2018 Farm Bill made hemp a federal agriculture commodity. Colorado and other states and tribes significantly expanded hemp production. For those of you who don't know, the hemp program provides farmers a legal platform to cultivate hemp and requires THCA testing and differentiates it from its cousin marijuana. The key components are registration, reporting, inspection, testing, and enforcement. After federally aligning with the USDA in 2022, our last rule changes, the program has realized minor regulatory issues and feels that changes in three key areas, disposal, reporting, and fee structure, will benefit the regulatory framework and farmers also. Regarding disposal, the department's adding a definition for disposal, which will include how to destroy or dispose of both failed crops due to THC and failed crops due to pest, weather, and other events. It will also require that negligent hemp be disposed on site and witnessed by department personnel. This is already implemented in policy, and it will also help prevent diversion of high THCA plants. As far as reporting concerned, we are recommending that the registrant must notify CDA if nothing is planted. This will aid in inspection planning and acreage reporting and require that outdoor growers report by August 1 that they did not plant, and the indoor growers do so prior to their registration expiring. We're also requiring that growers must report to CDA and provide evidence prior disposal of a failed crop due to weather events or other reasons. This excludes culled male or hermaphrodite plants as part of a cross-pollination plan. However, we do see in some cases, some cultivators claim they destroyed their crop due to failure without evidence of doing so prior to inspection and sampling. And finally, on reporting, we are trying to address the FSA requirements. Many hemp growers are not familiar with registering or reporting or certifying their crops with FSA like many other farmers might be. However, we do feel in the rules they need further clarification, spelling out the steps needed to comply with FSA reporting. Currently, the rules point them to a federal website and tell them that they have to follow the federal rules. We think this will make it more clear for growers on what to do, as still probably about almost 20% of them are still unfamiliar with the FSA process. And this will also include requiring a copy of the FSA crop detail report to CDA for information we need for federal reporting. And we will require this crop detail within 30 days of planting. And finally, regarding fees, we are providing more clarity to the fees and who's responsible for paying them. Namely, we are addressing the laboratory analysis fees here in our own lab. CDA already has authority to charge for laboratory analysis fees, but currently does not. We surveyed other private state labs that also do THC testing and did our own internal cost analysis at our lab here at CDA. And we are moving that we establish a cap for lab testing of $150 per sample to offset program costs. Most inspections that we do involve one sample, maybe two. So in most cases, it would be an additional cost of up to $150. I imagine we'd probably start in the median there, $75. This is just really to ensure that for years to come, we'll have the authority to charge up to $150. So in conclusion, Colorado has reached out to comments from CDA's advisory committee, sister agencies, and the public in April. And some of the feedback included, what are the opportunities for diversion? What are the program costs for monitoring high THC crop disposal? We feel these rules tighten up the ability for diversion of hemp from regulated markets. And we've already been monitoring high THC disposal for over 2 years now, successfully. One comment from the committee was to move the deadline for reporting did not plant from July to August, which we have adopted. And one comment was, will the sampling fee on low profitability per acre fiber grain producers be realized? And I'd like to note that sampling exemption already exists for these types of growers. Colorado has been a leader in hemp policy, and the program feels that the changes to the nation's first pilot program only strengthens its foundation and provides a clear direction for Colorado's hemp producers without causing too much consternation. CDA will hold a rulemaking hearing in June and hopes to have these changes effective by September 14th. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. At this time, is there any questions for Brian? Okay, seeing none. Thank you, Brian.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Look forward to seeing you again. Thank you, Margaret. Okay, we'll move on to the next item here is commission member updates. Do we have any takers there?
Simon, I can go.
Okay, thank you, Harrison.
Well, it is my pleasure to report that I don't think things could get any worse. Um, things are. I shouldn't say that. I'm going to knock on wood. So here in Delta County, we've got some. I'll start with the orchard folks. Many of you may have seen in the news, but by and large, all of the fruit in Delta County was lost on a freeze on April 17th. So that includes us. We had a complete loss. So Delta County represents about 75% of the apples grown in the state, and we represent probably about 10 to 15% of the peaches grown in the state, and then an amount of the cherries and other things. So, a pretty significant hardship for the community. Our crew went home last Thursday back to Mexico. We did everything we could to bonus them out successfully, or bonus them out as best we could, but we know that it's far from what they're going to need for the year to take care of their families. Crop insurance for many of us will keep us going till next year, and we're very grateful for that. But there's certainly ripple effects throughout the community. One big one as it pertains to dealings with the Ag Commission is LL and MM. I think I got those right. Jordan? Question mark. Apples were a huge part of that program, as were peaches, and I hope that growers in Palisade will be able to help with peaches, but you know, as far as apples and our participation in that program, it's a real shame that we won't be able to participate. It hurts a lot to feel like we're letting folks down, but wasn't anything we could do about it. We fought as hard as we could with wind machines and heaters and new spray program that CSU researchers have been experimenting with. So, um, and then on top of that, it's been the drought is terrible, and sort of as a result of variables that that the drought has impacted, our canal has been in a state of disrepair. We have about 180 CFS. We service just over between 400 and 500 water users. Um, we represent a large amount of the irrigated grass ground in and around the Paonia and Hotchkiss area. The canal is about 32 miles long, I believe. So, anyways, a substantial water source. And the first thing that happened was that a hillside began to collapse beneath the canal, so we had to shut the canal down for that. We did everything we could to get a quick repair going, and pipe that section about 350 feet of canal. You know, finding 8-foot pipe on demand was tough, and we were able to get some corrugated metal pipe out of Denver as quick as possible. And got contractors to work on that quickly. Unfortunately, while that was happening, another ditch also lost a hillside below their ditch, and that filled up. That filled up the canal, and our first attempt was to just remove the sediment from the canal. But after we did that, right as we were about to turn the water back on, we realized that the hillside was still not stable, and so we're going on 4 weeks of no water, and it's just it's just as nightmarish as you can imagine for this time of year, as we watch what little snowpack is up there by us in the river, as we deal with these issues. My understanding is that there's many ditches across the state that are dealing with consequences from the short season last year and the dry winter, and that cracks in the canals and dry and brittle hillsides are getting saturated and sloughing. But to now have 2 separate incidents keep us from irrigating is a real hardship. This in a year where hay prices were already set to skyrocket. Many growers many of the hay growers on the canal will be dealing with dry fields this summer, and us, we're just trying to just barely keep our trees alive going into next year. So anyways, that's the news from Lake Wobegon. Adios.
Thank you, Harrison.
This is Catherine. I'll go with the rest of the Western Slope.
Thank you.
So, the orchards fared they fared better in the Palisade area. There was some loss in certain areas, but generally everybody's wind machines helped. And then a breeze came up that was moving down the canyon that really saved everybody's butt at about 4 a.m. on that April 18th, 17th, I guess. Anyway, there's still quite a lot of fruit in Palisade area. Out here where I am, we actually got down to 25. And so everybody with small orchards or trees out here pretty much lost everything, including myself. The Colorado River above the Gunnison Junction is down to a trickle. The water goes into the canal up above Palisade, and that stretch below the canal entrance and to the Gunnison River is very, very low. Nobody's ever seen it this low before. So that anybody that sees the river realizes that we're in a world of hurt. A lot of the irrigation districts on the western slope, including in the Grand Valley out to Mac and Loma, are on reduced deliveries already, as well as the Compadre area as well. They're getting 50% now. I think they were going to drop it to 40% pretty soon. So people are really being impacted on their agricultural operations. I did see someone with an early cutting of hay, and the hay price was $380 a ton. A normal price is 200, 180. So we're looking at a big expense to manage our livestock through next winter if that price stays that high. I've done some investigating about importing hay from other states. Unfortunately, with the diesel price approaching $6 a gallon, that's really not affordable either. So unless something changes, I see a lot of people getting out of livestock. And I'm really worried about some of the horse operations because with hay prices going up so much and so many horses around, that could really be an issue with animal welfare. And so we'll have to keep an eye on that and see how we can help those people out or develop some sort of a program to take care of a bunch of horses. Other than that, it's been dry and windy out here on the western slope. Around in the mountains, the lower elevations are really having issues with their springs. I've talked to some people that springs have never been dry before, even through 2002, are now dry. People are wondering about what to do. Sometimes it's not possible to haul water up onto these permits. So I'm sure we'll be hearing more about the livestock issues in the coming months. We're all just hoping for the monsoon to move in. That's about it out here in the Grand Junction area.
Thank you, Catherine.
Simon, this is Colleen. I can go.
Thank you, Colleen.
Well, if you remember last meeting, I promised you wet weather on April 17th because it was my birthday. And we got it. I didn't say that we were going to have these freezes that everybody was experiencing over on the western slope. So my apologies to that. But we did get a little moisture that day. So that was good. And then last week's snow was good. Of course, we need more, and that's just the way it's going to be. Rental of water is very sparse from cities. They're hanging on to their water, so that's going to be very difficult for people to rent water if they're trying to go that direction. The corn is in the ground, and I think quite a few people got it in right before that storm we got a week ago. So that's good. That's good. Got some moisture down in the ground. I do know that beginning water allocations for ditches and whatnot are quite a bit smaller, which is concerning about being able to start those ditches up, especially at the lower ends. But I'm not going to complain because we're not in the situation that Harrison is in, and we just send best wishes that direction and just hope for more weather. I am in Iowa right now, and I thought I'd share with Jordan. I've been watching TV a little bit, and the governor's races out here, they are making the topic of that similar to like that Bill 26-121. They're making that one of their major political conversations as far as workers. So I thought that was really interesting that in the state of Iowa that they're pulling that in as one of their major topics. So it's good to see everybody. Kate, welcome back. And Robert, thank you for everything that you did.
All right, thank you. Is there any moisture up in that area? Colleen, is it storming up?
In Iowa?
Yes.
Iowa's weather is weird. I mean, it gets cloudy and then it just pours and then it stops. I mean, in Colorado, it kind of gets cloudy and we just kind of wait and wait, but here it just comes down. Water is not a concern here. I remember when our daughter started going to college here and she called us and she goes, you know what, how we are always wanting water. They're trying to get rid of water here. I was here about 2 weeks ago and we were downstairs in the basement for a tornado warning already. So But grass is very green. The crops are looking really good. And so, but again, talking to farmers both in Colorado and in Iowa, fuel costs is really concerning to them, and the price fluctuation of everything just has everybody on pins and needles. But every day there's a rainstorm here. Yeah, it lasts for about 10 minutes and then it's gone.
Thank you.
I'll go.
Thank you.
This is Amanda Weaver on the Front Range in the urban areas, and just trying to keep explaining all of the water restrictions that we're starting to go through in the Denver region, and why it's so important to just save all the water that we can and not put it on lawns necessarily, and things like that. And just over at my own farm, overseeing a lot of irrigation that's the last of the broadcast irrigation that I had installed is now in drip, and just really encouraging people to think about that, making that switch. But again, my hearts and prayers go out to everybody in Delta County and what Harrison is explaining. That's about it here. I've been going through some personal issues, and that my mom has moved into an assisted living, and so that's been a lot of my last month and a half of exercise, besides trying to make sure that what I can grow this summer is in and using as little water as possible. Thanks.
Thank you.
I can go next, Simon, if that's okay.
You betcha, Elena. Good to see you. Thank you.
Hey, yeah, nice to see you, Kate. It's so happy to see you back, and thank you for the phone call that you made to all of us. That was so lovely. Um, Everyone needs a hug. Oh my gosh, I'm just like, Harrison. Oh, I'm so sorry. That just sounds absolutely horrible, especially having to send home your workers. I know that you have a lot of you care a lot about those people, and oh man. Anyway, so sending some really positive thoughts, and Amanda as well. Everyone sounds like they've been having a rough go of it. Yeah, just same here. It's just dry. I mean, that's just what it is. The river has actually surprised everyone a little bit. I know this sounds like no one else is saying this, but it's been slightly better than 2002. At least the river made it out of the mountains and got down into the low area. But man, I tell you, it's not good. Um, Not to get too political, and I will try not to, but there's definitely some administration issues that are pretty obvious this year on our river, where we have a reservoir that is like at 60% of capacity while everyone else has no water. So there's definitely, I hear from legitimate sources that that's coming from people who should know better, but they're not administering some water rights correctly here in the area, which is frustrating. And then other than that, I hear through the grapevine that there's been a lot of weird illnesses with livestock, with some nitrate poisoning going on, which I'm not exactly sure. So I was doing my research too, because I was like, oh, I hope that wouldn't happen here. But I think just the weird weather has kind of done some weird things. And it's been super warm, but we still been getting some frost. So that's been interesting too, because everything broke dormancy, and then now it's just getting frozen back down again. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, everything is what it is. I mean, it's going to be a dry year, and I'm just sad to hear about everyone else's struggles. It just, man, sending out positive vibes to all of you. And hopefully, the nice thing about my personal farm is that, if we can't cut hay, we can always graze it. But still, I know that's not the situation for a lot of people, and definitely worried about how animals are going to be taken care of. Catherine, it was really interesting you saying about people not being able to find hay. I'm getting a lot of calls, and all my hay's sold, but I'm getting a lot of calls about people like, oh, please, can I reserve it for next year? And I'm like, I can't make that promise because I don't even know what's going to be, a harvest from this year. So I think that's where we all are. It's going to be an interesting year, but they say there's supposed to be something moving, but I'll wait till it happens before I get all excited about the moisture. They say something's supposed to be moving around, but I don't know. I'll see. I'll believe it when I see it. So anyway, nice to see you all.
Same here. Thank you, Elena.
Yeah, Simon, I'll jump in,
Right, Jeff.
kind of cover the northern part of the region here of the valley. Yeah, just echoing kind of what everybody else is saying about the drought conditions, and just everything is very dry here. A lot of the potato producers are cutting back acreage in potatoes and cutting back acreage in other crops, for fear that the wells might not make it this year. And so we're starting off with an aquifer level lower than we've ever started a season before. And like Elena was saying, the snowpack and what we're projecting for runoff is really low. We've essentially seen all the water that we are going to see, and we've seen our peak in the river already. So yeah, just same as everybody else around the state, and water concerns. I've been spending a lot of my time working on coal pile management for the potato situation, and it's definitely, I think it's had some ups and some downs, and trying to put together a program where we could have a place to dump cold potatoes, but it's going government slow, unfortunately. So we're, but on the positive side of that, we've seen a lot of attention drawn to it, and people have come up with some pretty creative ways to get rid of coals, and some people are just really taking it serious, which I'm really happy to see this year. So I hope that we don't have to have any fines from the CDA, and hopefully everybody manages their coal piles properly. So that's some I guess some positive news for a negative situation. Um, Potato price just keeps going down and down and down, and we keep thinking that we're going to see the bottom, but we just keep seeing new lower prices almost on a weekly basis. Anyway, potato prices aren't looking positive for next year either, with the alternative crops, with the prices that the alternative crops are having this year as well. So, but yeah, that's about it on my end.
Thank you, Jeff.
Jeff, thanks so much for taking the time to visit with Kayla Redbow and I yesterday. Since she's a master's in environment student at CU and really is not familiar with production agriculture, it was really eye-opening for her, and she really appreciated visiting. And then thanks also for all your hard work on the cull potato issue. It's really, your efforts are so important to try to figure out what to do with those in a very respectful way. So anything we can do, don't hesitate to reach out. Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah, thank you, Robert. It was great having you both yesterday, and I always love giving a tour of the packing shed to new people, and just seeing what all goes into that. I was followed up right after your tour with a tour of 40 junior high kids, and so that was kind of fun.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Jeff. I'll go ahead and go, and I'll let Nick finish up. Well, I wish I had something different to say than what everybody else is having to deal with. Here in Southwest Colorado, we're in the same situation with water. We're going to end up, I hope, around 3,500 acre feet of our 24,500 projected. We went into the spring with about 2,600 acres of alfalfa. We're going to hopefully be able to keep 750 acres, 2 cuttings. We'll start our first cutting Monday. So we're going to cut way back as far as what we anticipated on an 80% water last November, but we're at about 14.5, hoping for about 15% of our water allocation. The cattle are doing good. They've about 95% calved out and branded. We're going to start moving them to the high country here in about a month, but we'll see how long that lasts. If they're able to stay on the permit ground as long as we think they can. If not, we're gonna make that decision then on how it affects the cattle. The cattle prices are up right now, but we're hoping to get through the summer and back in the fall and get some type of relief with rain. It's bound to sometime. We just don't know when. It just seems to keep missing us. Either goes north or south. Uh, as far as bow and arrow brand, we still have new customers coming in on the boutique market side, value added with some new customers, but our volume of corn, of course, is down. I sat on about 80,000 bushel, not getting the price. It kind of stayed stable and wouldn't go up. So I didn't sell any, and it's probably a good thing because the mill has about 80,000 bushels that they can make it through the remainder of this year, and we'll see what next year brings. We did plant 80 acres of blue corn this year, not only for the mill, but for farm and ranch. It seems to be a value added product now. The last couple of years is the blue corn for the customer base that we're getting in that area for the boutique side. What's helped us here on our water allocation is we are about 2,000 acre feet on our project water, but we've been able to adjust with some farmers in the area that aren't able to utilize their water due to the drought also. So we've been able to lease some shares from the local Montezuma MVIC department, which has helped us. So we're still in a position that we do have our operation and maintenance cost of our water, but there's some more becoming available this month that might increase our water allocation to maybe squeeze in another cutting of alfalfa if possible. But I think like everybody else here in the Western Slope area, water is an issue, but we're going to do what we can to move forward. We did have a couple visitors that came down. Marissa Randolph, the new deputy director of communications and outreach, was down for a visit a couple weeks ago, and we did have the UCRC executive director Chuck Collum came down, and I got to spend some time with him and Alex Estevan Lopez, the New Mexico commissioner of the UCRC. Also, that's another issue they're having to deal with the upper and lower. So it was kind of interesting to him to see our part of the country and look at the new reservoir that we're trying to. We got some design and engineering money for a small regulatory reservoir at the end of our canal system. So we're hopefully to move forward on that. We've got a meeting tomorrow. I'd like to install floating solar panels on this reservoir for evaporation purposes and then be able to line it. So I think that's a big thing for a strategic plan for the Ute Mountain Tribe and Farm and Ranch to be able to put a reservoir equivalent to about 1,500 acre feet of water for not only years like this, but to get involved in stock runs and be able to run repairs and maintenance on our canal. We have a hard time because we have to keep water in the canal all year round for the cattle, so it doesn't allow us to do any type of sediment removal. So as we move forward, I'll keep everybody abreast on that. But once we get started on the engineering design portion, then hopefully here, water time in a few years, we can have something to have some type of relief here on the end of the canal on the Ute Reservation for some water storage. Other than that, that's about it. And hopefully when we see each other here in Hotchkiss in a month, we can talk there was a good rainstorm. Otherwise, we'll still get together then. So that's about it on our end here. Nick?
I guess I'll jump on.
Okay. Thank
I'll
you.
add to the broken record. Very, very dry here. We've got green grass coming, which I don't know where it's getting its water, but it's good to see some green, and cows are on green grass. But I think a few more of these hot, dry days, and that will disappear pretty quickly. Let's see. I guess speaking to the gentleman that spoke in the public comment period, it's just baffling to me the amount of climate dollars that are being spent and they're allocated around, and we still can't seem to capture these drought discrepancies on the drought monitor. I don't know what CDA can do to help with that. I'm sure it's probably at the federal level, but it's with today's technology and the amount of dollars that are being spent on a climate, it seems like we ought to be able to at least capture who's getting rain and who's not. There every year there's major discrepancies on that drought monitor map, and those drought monitor maps trigger a lot of the emergency relief that these producers need. So I don't know what we do about it or whose bell we need to ring, but it seems like that drought monitor program needs a lot of work. Um, let's see. On another note, I did a podcast last week with all of the Colorado NRCS employees. I don't know if all of you knew or not, but I was a range management specialist for 9 years before I became a full-time rancher. And of course, we were talking about drought in that podcast, and hopefully gave the NRCS employees some perspective on what it's like from the producer side. And I think I've got a unique perspective being on both sides of the table as a range management specialist and now a producer. So that was a lot of fun to do, and hopefully they got something out of it. I guess the other thing I wanted to mention, Robert, I think the bill was 2614, the re-veg bill that went through. I appreciate your work on that. I've had the unfortunate experience of working on some properties that the irrigation water was sold on and weren't vegetated properly, and they are just ecological nightmares. So just wanted to thank you, Robert, for sounds like you represented CDA very well in that process. So appreciate your work on that. And Kate, glad to have you back and excited to hear more about the baby. I think that's all I've got.
Nick, thanks for those comments. As far as the drought monitor goes, so at the drought task force that's been convened, we brought that up the last two meetings. Even the Division of Water Resources has brought it up as an important issue for us to face. Marissa Rudolph and I and that's why on our drought page, we've actually included a place where people can report drought impacts. In talking with our state climatologist, Russ Schumacher, I mean, he's not responsible for setting up the drought monitor, but he provides NOAA and the USDA information. And the way he explained it to us is if we can show them the drought impacts that are not being reflected in the drought monitor, they can hopefully maybe better design it or change it so it's better reflective of what the conditions are going on. So we may be reaching out to you folks to provide us some information that we can then share with them.
That's a really good point, Robert. I report drought impacts on UNL's website, and I wonder if that's something Olga could tackle, blast that out on Facebook, and just get that out there so that these folks that are experiencing drought and it's not being captured there, just log on and let them know that something is not right here.
Yep. That's a great idea. We'll follow up on that, Nick.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Robert. I think that's all the commissioner member updates on open discussion and final comments. I see Billy also. Billy, do you have anything for us today?
I do not, Mr. Chair. Thank you for the inquiry. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. Any other discussion needed or final comments today? I know we're running a little early, so we could make it longer if someone has some other stories than no water, but what do we do?
Well, I was just oh, I'm sorry. I interrupted. I'm so
No,
sorry,
no,
Rachel.
no problem at all. I think that David is online and was planning to make an update. So if we
Oh,
want
good.
to let him do that quickly and then
Yes.
perfect. Thank you.
And Elena, hold on to that comment. David, are you with us?
Wonder if he's still behind the mute wall, *6.
I'm showing him as unmuted, but I know that he mentioned he's in some bad cell service areas, so I'm wondering if he's not connecting.
Okay, well, we'll give Elena, if you want to share with us, and hopefully we can get David back with us.
I was just following up on the, the questions with the drought stuff. And I read an article, although I don't know how accurate it was. It wasn't talking about Colorado, but it was just talking about nationwide that the models that they're using to chart carbon and to chart temperature changes are off, but significantly. And so I don't know if that's affecting why some of these calculations are wrong, but it kind of gave me a scary thought, right? Because like if they're that far off, basically to the like they're under calculating the temperature, which is really significant, which means that things are a lot further along than we think they are, or there's some other things that are factoring in that they're just not being able to calculate. So I don't know if that factors into like why the drought calculations and the moisture calculations are so off, but this article was really informative about how like the major models, like the global models on temperature change and climate and all that are off significantly.
Thank you, Elena. Anybody else have anything to add to today's meeting? Okay, seeing none, it looks like our next meeting, if we can't get David online, is July 22nd, Wednesday, in person in Hotchkiss, Colorado. There's no changes there, is there? Moving forward at this time?
I think we're still between Hotchkiss and Delta for where we're
Okay.
staying, Simon, but we'll be in Delta County between one of the two towns.
Sounds good. Hopefully we'll be able to see everybody there. It's a short drive for me, so it might be a little longer for others, but seeing no others, and I don't think David's online. Robert, go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Simon. Just like to remind everybody, and unfortunately, we really have to pay attention to it, is that May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And so it's really important that we're watching out for each other in during this time period. And that's all it takes sometimes, is just to be aware of each other, to ask everybody if they're doing okay, and just to take the time to listen to everybody. It's going to be a tough year this year, and we really need to be there for each other. So thanks, Simon.
Thank you, Robert. Yeah, that is important. We've been discussing it in some of our staff meetings down in this area, because it's definitely affecting hours and jobs. That's the last thing I don't like to see when it happens to do that. But this was kind of out of our control for now. But you're right, Robert. It is important to stay up with the people that we are surrounding ourselves with every day, what they're dealing with. So,
Simon, this is Colleen. I
Yes,
have
ma'am.
a non-farming, but a story about a farmer that's positive. Kent had knee replacement surgery 2 weeks ago and doing very well. And he contributes it to, he contributes his bad knees from the many years of irrigation. So yeah, but I left him there with I left him in Colorado with my son to come out here and help our family out here. But knee surgery, it went really well. We were nervous, but a non-farming, but a story about a farmer. How's that?
Good deal. Thank you, Colin. Okay. Seeing no other right now, thank you, everyone. And we will see everybody hopefully in 30 days or prior. The meeting, let's see, we need to do something here. Do we need to do a closing out, a motion?
Mr. Chair, this is Colleen. I move that we adjourn today's meeting.
All right, thank you. Motion made by Colleen. May I have a second?
This is
I'll
Catherine.
second.
I'll second.
Okay, Amanda, thank you for second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Got ahead of myself. Seeing none, motion carries. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Take
everyone.
care. Thank you.
Thanks
You
all.
will.
Thank you, Kate.
Bye-bye.
Thanks everybody. Take care.
Thank you.